Hi everyone, welcome back to the Sorcerer's Quest. I have the cardboard guide here, and I'm excited to talk about sorcery, the art, the cards, the curios. They're a big proponent of that in the community. So, how are you guys doing?
Good, good. Thank you. And thank you so much for having us.
Yeah, it's an honor that you guys let me interview you guys because you were one of the first channels I watched when I started getting into sorcery about 5 or 6 months ago now. I was a beta child, not an alpha child.
So,
Oh,
But I,
generation two?
yeah. But what you guys got in at alpha, right? So, or yeah. So, what was that like? Because I wasn't a part of it. So, like, was it like how'd you guys find out about it? Was it just searching the web, or a friend of a friend of a friend, or something like that?
Actually, it popped up on Kickstarter. So
Okay.
on Kickstarter, I had backed some obscure folk metal music, and they were like, "Huh, there might be a crossover." And I was like, "Okay, cool, that sounds awesome." And we'd been playing Magic for ages, pretty into TCGs already, and
Nice.
I think I just like caught a look of the banner and sorcery, and
Mm-hmm.
then I clicked on it, and then the art just looked really cool. And I was like, "Hey, this might be great." And we're also like both players of Diablo, and I kind of knew Path of Exile as well. So when I saw it was Eric behind it, I was like, okay, this is also someone who has a name in the industry already, and yeah, and I sort of persuaded you to to join.
Nice. Yeah. Yeah, I didn't know he was part of Diablo. I played those games
Oh
growing
no,
no,
up.
no, that
he's
was
part of Path of Exile, but it takes
Oh,
a lot
okay.
of inspiration from Diablo.
From Diablo. Oh, okay. Gotcha. Gotcha. Okay. I'll have to look up Path of Exile then. I play a little bit of video games, but I'm not a huge video game guy. I grew up actually with Pokemon, as my
Mm.
generation did. I was a '90s kid, so we did a lot of Pokemon trading on the recess and stuff like that. We didn't know. None of us knew how to play the game. It was
No,
just
no.
like
it's the
these
same with
cards are
our kids.
cool. So it's like, ooh, you have a shiny one. I'll give you like five of my normal ones for your shiny one. And then like looking back on it, it's like, oh, some of those cards are probably worth a lot of money, but not in the way that we have them.
Yeah, the condition after being packed into a backpack is not great.
And rubber band, and
Yeah,
sliding
exactly.
across the pavement at the ground on the, yeah, it's not a good time for those cards for sure. But so you guys have a YouTube channel. You guys kind of discuss sorcery news, and I know you guys discuss like magic and other things as well. But for the purposes of this channel, it's sorcery. But you guys are very invested in the curio side of the the sorcery. So kind of explain how that role came to be and kind of why you were so interested in that part of it specifically.
Hmm. It started pretty early on, and I remember Sophie. She came to me and said, "I think somebody should keep track on those curios because I think there's going to be a lot, and I think it's going to be something that the community is going to be interested in. So, what do you think that I will be the one doing that?" I'm like, "Do you want to do that?" And she goes, "Yeah, I want to do that." No, fine, fine, have a go at it. I think it started something like that.
Yeah.
Very cool.
Initially, I was like keeping track of the curios just for myself because, the team's policy is we don't talk about curios. So I was like, okay, getting any sort of like population number, figuring out what the curios are, having somewhere central that people can find them. So, like, my private list sort of developed into a thought about, okay, maybe I should just make this public and then people can come check it out if they want. And then I decided to do that, and it sort of just like it snowballed from there because the community was like, okay, so she's gathering the information, maybe we should start tagging her when we see any curios.
Hmm.
And then people started tagging, and that has just like been immensely helpful because I'm not up at the right time zone for a lot of the curio pools being posted.
Right.
So when people tag me, I can check it, and I can put it into sort of like our little mini database. um, and they're just fun. I mean, who doesn't like hidden secret
Yeah.
treasures? And I just love the whole concept of it, and I thought it was really interesting. And then it just, yeah, kind of evolved from there. And it's also really nice that people know that we're the ones doing it, because that really
Mm.
helps with getting the news out, and people just like reporting if they find one.
So I have neglected to, but I do have a curio.
No.
I
Oh,
I have a step curio that my buddy pulled.
wow.
Dude, so you have one of the best ones? That's
Yeah.
amazing.
I so I'm kind of I don't know. I some people might think I'm weird, some people think I don't know. I'm a weird person, I guess. So like I I my policy when it comes to collecting for myself is if I can't play with it in some way, I'm personally not a fan of just having it sit around, in my opinion. So like I, and I've said this a couple times now on this channel. If anyone wants to reach out, I'm more than willing to make some kind of deal with it. That was kind of the purpose of me and my friend. Yeah, when we agreed to it, I paid him for his part of it, basically. And he
Yeah.
said, do whatever you want with it afterwards. If it's keep it, get it signed, do whatever, it's your choice. Go ahead. And I was like, okay, yeah. So I posted on the Vegas group because I'm going to Vegas if anyone wants it, kind of thing. But yeah, you guys, if I don't know if I actually told you guys, so if you want to add that to your population records,
We
there
will.
you go. Um, it was interesting looking through all of that data. I saw that you guys posted the recent sell lists and stuff
Yeah.
recently on your channel on the Discord. It was really interesting seeing like some of the fluctuations that have been happening recently with and a current like one of the things that's uh, I I at first when I was looking through the curio list, the Frank Frazetta Death Dealer, I
Hmm.
was like, that's not a thing. I was like, someone's just getting someone's goat here because I saw one on eBay, and I was like,
Yeah.
some guy just like mocked up this card and is trying to sell it because he's like asking like it was like 22,000 something
Yeah.
ridiculous dollars. I was like, no, this has to be something. And then like I looked more into curio. That was kind of what got me into curio hunting or just
Mm.
what it was. I was like, this can't be real. Found your guys' channel, found all this stuff out, and I was like, huh, that's crazy. Like that's a crazy card. Like, and I think that's the cool part. Like, I'm not necessarily a huge fan of the we changed a letter or we changed a word curios. Like those are kind of cool little like Easter eggs, but I think the thing that really makes curios cool, in my opinion, is the alternative art. Something that we would have
Mm.
maybe never seen from some of these artists. It was their like, oh, he didn't necessarily like this one. He liked this one more, so he went with this one for the normal one. But we get to see the other one that maybe never would have seen the light of day.
Yeah,
Mm.
for sure. I really like those as well, especially because it's also like part of the sorcery history. Because
Hmm.
Eric, even from the beginning, was like commissioning several different artists for the same pieces. So he has like a lot of stock of images. And I'm
Hmm.
kind of hoping we get to see more of those as we move into Arthurian legends.
Yeah,
Yeah,
indeed, and I
the
also like the historic curios.
Yeah, for
And those
sure.
curios telling a little about how the game has developed and showing some old abilities or features about the cards that are no longer part of the game. I like those too.
yeah, the sites used to just be vertical, just like everything else. That was really interesting. Like I interviewed one guy recently, and he said that the Styx card
Yeah.
from the from I guess the what are those called? The packs that are like I forgot what
The
they
pledge
called
pack?
them. It was the like
You know,
pre-alpha packs or whatever that were like test
Sample
cards
pack?
or whatever. Yeah, those ones.
Yeah.
Yeah, the sample packs. Where there like the Styx one in there where it was like you had I forgot exactly the text of it, but it was like an interesting like water vertical land card, and I was like,
Yeah.
that's kind of cool. I'm glad they kind of went to that landscape format so that you're not just again we don't. it would be interesting for Eric to do like a history video where he goes
Mm,
back and kind of explains, okay, this
Mm.
is how the placement of these specific lands or sites would have been in congruence to the grid, or how those things would have worked. Would be an interesting kind of find, I guess, because we don't really know how, like, okay, would this have been on a square, or maybe this was before squares existed. This is like all of that kind of thing would have been interesting to kind of know, and I don't know if that exists yet. I think that it's kind of
mm,
just
yeah,
like a mystery.
I think there has been some rumors, and I think the sites were made vertical,
horizontal.
horizontal.
Yeah,
Yeah, so it was easier to actually see them on the grid because they tended to get cluttered beneath all the other creatures and stuff.
Hmm.
Um, before they changed it.
yeah, and I
Yeah.
do think like there's one guy in Sweden, and I do think he's like maybe a personal friend of Eric's,
Mm.
part of his like old play group because
Mm.
Eric is originally from Sweden.
Hmm.
Um, I think that he posted like he had some early test cards and posted some stories about them, and I don't remember if that was just like in the Discord or maybe on the Facebook page. But that was pretty interesting because he could like, tell some stories about the initial development and stuff like that. But I mean, who knows? In a couple of years, it might be you doing the documentary on on this beginning of sorcery.
I I I don't think I'll be the person, but I would love to be the person that did like a history of sorcery. That would be
Yeah,
really cool, just to, interview the team, interview some like Eric himself. Like, maybe it would be a big thing that I would want to do. I would try to
Mm.
do it correctly, but I would,
yeah,
yeah, it would be really cool. And I would hope that the team maybe eventually is just like they take us and do kind of a documentary style video shoot where they're talking, have Eric sit down, kind of talk about the game, talk about some initial pieces. Maybe, I don't know if we know this, but like maybe the first piece he commissioned of art, and like some of
yeah.
the other things that, like, or maybe what was the initial brainchild, and then what moved to that, to this, to that, would be an interesting talk
Yeah,
on
there
it. And
was
then,
like there were some like pieces of information floating around early, and even on the Kickstarter, there was like a whole section about how he developed the game, how
hmm,
Nicholas Reynolds sort of like contributed with the grid and more ideas. And yeah, there was like a bit of a background story, but it would be really cool to have like celebrate set number 4 or 5 with like a throwback to the early days.
yeah, it would be really cool. Like, I really like looking at some of the sample cards that have been pulled. Uh, I think they're called sample cards from the sample pack. Yeah. So the one that blew my mind from a very aggressive player style, I was like, the the Sacred Scarabs being able to be a
Mm,
grid based thing where it would do 3 on the initial site, and then 2 to the sides, and then 1 on the nearby ones to the detonation. I was like,
yeah.
that's crazy for like a, what it would be like 3. I think it was like a 3 cost for what, with 1 power, and it was just like, that is an insane ability, and I think it would have been. I'm glad they changed it because it would have been really crazy to see. But one thing I wanted to discuss, because you guys are on the other side of the world. I You guys had your first real big tournament happen recently.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, and I saw that you guys were posting a bunch of videos and stuff there. I wanted to kind of get your guys' perspective on that event. I did interview the guy that won it. His video will be up tomorrow.
Oh, cool.
Cool.
Yeah, so it'll be cool to have that posted. But I wanted to kind of get your guys' feel for the European market and the European scene for sorcery. I know what the United States scene is like, but I wanted to kind of get your guys' perspective on what you would potentially like to see in the future, what it is now, and kind of that feel.
Cool. Wanna start off?
Yeah. Well, I would like to see some more product, of course, because Europe has been, a bit under-distributed. So not a lot of product, especially of beta, has been coming to Europe, and I hope that we see more. I hope that we see the second wave of beta, and I hope it's also going to be the
Hmm.
summer quality printing,
Hmm.
just because I want to see that and experience that. And I hope that we're going to get a very big amount of supply of Ethereum Legends. So we'll be able to buy a lot and play a lot, and also get those LGSs into Sorcery and have a more developed play network in Denmark and the rest of Europe, of course. But of course, from our perspective, especially Denmark, going to an LGS and be able to play with your friends, that's really what it's all about.
Yeah, for sure. I think there's like a really good base of people who are interested and who were in the Kickstarter. Usually people compare to like, okay, but how many backers were they? But they sort of like need to take into consideration the size of the country. So of
Yeah.
course, how many of the people who actually back, there's actually quite a good deal of interest all over Europe. There's the event happening actually today in Paris. There's a huge event where the two
Oh,
pictures
cool.
from Arthurian legends were revealed by Severin and Pompetti. And again, I think there's like a lot of local initiatives going, but it's difficult to gather up enough people. And for some spots, it's even been difficult just to have product to play. And if you can't really offer people to play sealed or play draft, it's a bit difficult. And it's difficult to get new people into the game because most people sort of like want to experience opening the product and seeing for themselves what is that experience. And they really should, because that's kind of what brings you in. It's getting those cards and seeing the amazing art. But yeah, I'm just going to pause for 2 seconds. I have a washing machine and it's making a lot of
It's
noise.
all good.
It's going off, being like, meh, 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 meh.
Gotcha.
So when the US are you located?
I am in Montana, which is
Montana.
it's one of the northern states of the United States. It's more on the west side. So you have like Washington, which is actual West Coast, and then you have Montana on the right side of it, if you're looking on a map. But yeah,
Cool.
I'm kind of in the west corner of the United States. It's uh, I'm showing my ignorance as an American here, but like I'm kind of jealous of like the history that Europe has, where like it is it's not necessarily a good history, bad history. It has its ups and downs, right? Just like every history in the world. But I feel like we miss the cool architecture part, right? It's like we just went to the modern, and so like you have like the East Coast that has some of those like older, like 1700s buildings, but then like after that it just becomes like whitewashed, modern, like normal. Like we
Yeah.
don't have like the ruins or the castles and like that stuff that is just like I don't like I it would be just cool to like we have I used to live in Oregon, and it's a place where there's a lot of rainfall and a lot of waterfalls and other things, and I was just like, you know what, it'd be like cool to have like a just like a castle just sitting on the side there, but like you just don't have that, and it's just like I think it would be I hope to before my life is over travel Europe at least a little bit and be able to see it. Maybe Sorcery will
Yeah,
make
we'll
that
take you
Oh
happen.
there.
yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
but
for sure.
it's
We're sort of planning to get one of this. So the last month we did the Ask and Rest tournament. And we were sort of like planning ahead that at some point we really like to do it in one of those like medieval old school castles and like doing a
mm,
sorcery event there. So that might be the perfect opportunity to come hang out and see Europe.
whew, that would be that would be an experience for sure to be able to
Yeah.
play. That would be really cool. Yeah, I might have to find a way if that happens. But
Yeah.
yeah, it's
Yeah, I think the Asking Rest tournament. There are plans to have a tournament located in Austria and play at a winery, and then maybe later on playing in a medieval castle,
Yeah.
renting
that'd
the
be
entire castle and just having a sorcery tournament. That could be
very
really
cool.
cool.
Nice. Yeah, it
So
would
you need to
be.
come at that point.
Yes, yes. I it was one of those. So like kind of coming from your guys's like you guys have like a smaller scene, and like locally I have a very small scene. Like it's mostly the East Coast of the United States has a lot of tournaments. The West Coast doesn't really have all of those big tournaments. So locally, it was one of those things where we had one shop that got some product because one of the guys who started the scene here basically begged him. He was like, "Please, I know you don't know about this game, and I know like basically he said I will buy all of your product if it doesn't sell."
Wow.
But I think it will sell. So if it doesn't sell at like an X date, basically, he said he would buy it. I think was the agreement made. So he pre-ordered a bunch from him and then also said, "Hey, if it doesn't sell, I will buy it," because he was just that invested into the game. And
That's
from a
cool.
friend, I heard about the game and I had been playing a game called Flesh and Blood. I don't know if you guys know about that game.
Yeah.
But it was one of those, the local crowd was becoming very aggressive towards certain individuals. And I was one of those individuals that was kind of getting targeted for certain things. And kind of every game I've been a part of recently, I've been kind of a forerunner for it. I've been like, you know what, I'll do this or that for the community. I'll kind of put some money on the line to make it a cooler event kind of thing. And it was one of those things where it felt like people were fighting back on what I wanted to do. We had two stores initially for Flesh and Blood that were really like gung ho about it. Let's do this, and then one of them made some financial decisions that were not necessarily the best for them for Flesh and Blood. We had, I don't know what it is now, but we had 8 consistent players that would show up to play Flesh and Blood locally, and then they decided it would be a good choice to buy 40 cases of Outsiders.
Yikes.
It's a lot
Yeah,
of product.
yeah, and you know, as Flesh and Blood was, especially back then, it was like you kind of buy a case so you can get your legendary, and then
Yeah.
if it wasn't a legendary you needed, then you'd get your other one, and you would like trade it for the one you wanted or whatever, or you would go buy some afterwards. But you'd always like buy a case was like the mantra, and so we would buy a case locally, but then 8 people really can't consume 40 cases of product. So it became one of those things where we weren't buying anything and he had taken everything else off the shelf
Mm.
to incentivize us to buy the Outsiders. And so it just
Yeah.
didn't get any sales. And so he came to us one day when we were playing and he's like, "Yeah, we're basically going to sell all of our Flesh and Blood stuff. You guys are like 1% of our sales. Yeah, well, you're out. See ya." And we are like, "Okay."
Wow.
So how Flesh and Blood works for people that are tuning in for sorcery is you have armory kits that exist, and every month you get to play an armory and you would get prizes. And it was the way of the game supporting the local game stores.
Mm.
So when that went away and we had 2 days of play and we wanted to still have 2 days of play, we wanted to have more of a competitive thing on Saturday where it was classic constructed. And then we would have a blitz kind of more casual tournament on Tuesdays. And so with the 2 stores, it made sense. We would have the one here, one there, and then we'd have the armory kit for both, and it'd work out. Everything was sunshine and rainbows. And then when that happened, I was of the opinion, okay, well, we should still keep this Tuesday thing. So I asked the guy that owned the other store who didn't close out on Flesh and Blood. I was like, "Hey, you have an opportunity. You're the only one in town, or the only one in the biggest city in Montana, to keep this game going and to have everyone that was the casual crowd to now buy product from you." So so we made the deal. We got Tuesdays back, and we were able to play, and it was a ton of fun. And then I was an advocate of splitting the armory kit, or to kind of figure out a way that we could kind of every other week you would have an armory event on Tuesday and then you have an armory event on Saturday or whatever, right? And some people, the group that likes playing the competitive was kind of the initial group that got into it, and so they were like, well, we are the founders of this, so we get to decide what happens with it, and we're gonna do Saturdays. I was like, we're
Mm.
getting 10 people on Tuesday, and you're getting 4 to 6 people on Saturday. The community is on Tuesday. You should provide to the community and to a starting format that makes it so, if someone else shows up and is able to play, like a new person, then they, potentially. I also made it so that it was random, whoever won. So the
Mm.
person could get, the new person could get the cold foil, like cool card, and then they, the people that have been playing for a while, oh, I'll trade you, and then you can, if you don't want it, I'll trade you and I'll give you all these cards. So then they would potentially get more invested into the game because they
Yeah.
now had this card. So I thought it was a good strategy. The people on Saturday did not think it was a good idea. So there was a big battle over it, and we had to like do a poll with the community and all this stuff. And one of my buddies, going back to Sorcerer now, one of my buddies decided, okay, we are going to. He's like, I'm gonna make sure that it's all set up, and then I'm out. Like I'm gonna
Yeah.
vote on this and make sure. And he's like, but because of all this situation and them, there were some rude comments that had been made because from the Saturday group to me and this guy, and so he was like, I'm out. I don't want to be a part of this. This is just. He's like, I play a game. I play games to not have to deal with this. Like
Yeah.
this is my time away from work, my kids. Like this is my relaxed time, and I don't want to be stressed out with all of this. So he left, and then I had kind of continued for a little bit, and then he and another guy who were kind of both like in the similar crowd of me was like, "Hey, there's this sorcery game," and I was like, and it was November last year, and the I had a kid due in December, and
Oh.
so it was one of those things where it was kind of the perfect storm where all this stuff had been happening, and then he said the magic words, "It's one set a year."
Yeah.
Mm.
Exactly.
And I was like, oh, so I have a whole year to collect one set and be able to play with these cards for a whole year. Financially, that's gonna be really nice with a kid on the way. So
Yeah.
I was able to, I was able to do a very large transaction with all of my flesh and blood stuff,
Mm.
and basically said, I want a set of beta. And so I got all of, I collected all of the beta cards. I got my foil avatars. I was good to go, and I kind of just left that. And I've been lucky enough to have some deals come across where we were able to get a really good deal on all of the alpha playmats.
Oh, nice.
And so we've been using those as price support for local tournaments for our group. So we'll have like we do one big tournament a month where we have like all 8 of us show up at a conference room that one of the same guy that got me into the game, he was like, hey, I have this conference room available, let's just do it there, because it was one of those things where the local store couldn't get these kinds of things, and it'd be kind of awkward to be like, hey, I'm going to the money's going to come to me because I have to
Yeah.
pay off this mat that I bought, right? So we just did it at the conference room, and we still play at the local game store every week, and we try to support them. But just like you guys, they don't have any product. There's no
Yeah.
draft, there's no nothing. So we, as a community, we've kind of stashed some boxes for those bigger tournaments. And so when we do a bigger tournament, it's like the boxes are coming out. We're going to do draft. We're going to do sealed. We're going to do something and make it a big deal so then people can still play and do kind of the draft format. But yeah, sorry I went on like a gigantic tangent. But kind of going into the art side of it, I know you guys are a huge proponent of the art, and I'm a huge fan of the art. Because of my financial situation, I'm not gonna ever own probably any of the original art pieces or sketches or anything. So I wanted to ask your opinion on this. I'm a huge fan of getting cards signed.
Mm.
How do you guys feel about that? Because some people are like, well, like you're defacing the card, you're doing this or that or whatever, and I'm like, it's the artist who made the card. Like it's
Hmm.
their it's your personal, it's you getting to interact with that artist potentially and get a signed card, and it's like, hey, look, they signed this card. It's a it's a reminder of that event or whatever, in my opinion. And I just play with them. I play with all of my side cards to have fun with it, and while I'm playing I get to see that card and say, hey, I remember that, I remember playing, getting that signed, so that's cool.
Hmm. I think Sorcerer is actually the first game where I wanted to have signed cards.
Hmm.
Previously when I saw a signed card, I was like, why did some idiot scribble on it with a tooth or something? I don't get it. And I actually bought some OG fetches from Onslaught in Magic, and the seller hadn't,
Disclosed.
disclosed to me that all of these cards were actually signed. So I got a full set, and they were all signed. I was furious, and this guy was going out of Magic. I was like, yeah, see you. So yeah, but then then along came Sorcery, and I went to a tournament in Sweden where sorcery artist Matthias Frisk he was there, and I had brought a lot of Minor Explosions and some other cards, and even some cards for some friends that had some of their favorite art by Matthias, and he was kind enough to sign it. And at that point, I was like, signed cards are actually kind of cool because you do get a history with the card, and you sort of tie some memories and some situations into the card. So I think from a personal perspective, having a signed card is really cool. I also got a signed card. My favorite card in Sorcery is Amazon Warriors,
Ooh.
and a really nice guy from our Discord was like, "Can I get your address? I'm going to send you something." I was like, "Yeah, I suppose." And after having been delayed by the post office and
Yeah.
taxes and stuff, there actually came an Amazon Warrior signed by Elvira Shakirova, and that's my
Awesome.
favorite of all the cards we have.
Yeah, and
Very
Yeah.
it's
cool.
been cool. People have been really kind. So if people went somewhere, um, they like
Mm.
got some cards signed for us. We also have another patron who got cards signed by Aranya Art and a really cool dude in New Zealand. He got some cards signed by Lindsay Crummett also. So we're sort of
Mm.
like collecting it, and now it's not only the signed card, and that's really cool, but it's also like a token of like a friendship bond with different
Hmm.
people who have been kind enough to sort of think of us, and that's really enjoyable looking through those cards and going, oh, this guy he got these, and yeah, it's really nice.
Nice. So I I was gonna ask this question, but we know your favorite card. Sophie, what's your favorite card, if you have one?
It changes like daily. So I think it's difficult to say. I think there's so many great artists in this game, and they have like each sort of like had their influence.
Hmm.
I think one of my favorite cards for a long while has been Ares Curiosa. I just really enjoyed the way that Francesca Barold sort of um, the composition of the card, also the color saturation. I mean, all this attention to tiny details, and there's so like many individual little pieces on that card that might also become relevant later on in the game, I think. And also just the fact that Eric made her do a little exalted orb, which is an object from his game Path of Exile, is actually
Okay.
on that card. And I just really enjoyed. And there's even a curio version of it, so that really, I
Yeah.
think that has to take the prize.
Yeah, so yeah, I was about to say, I was like, it has a curio version too, so
Yeah.
like it's up your guys' alley. Um, with the with having so many artists, and I know you guys have interviewed a couple, and that's really cool. I hope to eventually have artists on as well and be able to interview them. As hopefully I can do it as much justice as you guys did. But the this is a hard question. I know it's going to be a
Oh,
Oh,
hard question.
prepare.
yeah.
Favorite artist or top three favorite artists in sorcery? I told you it was hard. I told you it was hard.
Ugh.
Oh,
I think that's so difficult because there's art that I really enjoy for the specific artist style, but there's
Hmm.
also art that is just so like thematic and really fits the card well. And that's also some credit to Eric and the entire team making sure that the art and the mechanic and the name just really work well together. I think that's super, super difficult for me to answer. Um, I think maybe like just mentioning two, like off the top of my head from today,
Hmm.
I think Elvira Shakirova has done incredible pieces. I think there are a lot of like pieces that she's done that really is like it sets some of the tone for the game. And I really, really enjoy her style. And I think it's like she has a very significant, like personal style. Um, Okay, top three. I'm gonna do a top three.
Oh,
You, if
Gadu
it has to be
Duaso.
just if it just has to be for today, like your
Yeah, for
top three
today.
today, it could be
Yeah,
that too. It doesn't have to be
I
for
can I
all
can do
time.
top three for today. Gadu
Okay.
Duaso. He has done some marvelous pieces. Um, Maze Minotaur, one of them,
Mm,
he's done a lot of like, it's very distinct because he has a very different cultural background, and that totally comes through in his art. And I think that's amazing. He has these vibrant colors, sort of like different ways of portraying creatures. I really enjoy that. The Syrian Templar, the Curio, is also his art, and I really, really love that. And probably Francesca Perrault that did Ares Curiosa, but she also did the Sorcerer and the back for the Atlas card. So she has had a massive influence on the game.
yeah.
Yeah, for today. For today.
for today, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think my favorite artist is Elvira Shakirova. I love, every card that she has done. And I think when you flip through cards, she's very recognizable. You know by, instantaneously that, oh, that's Elvira, and oh, that's Elvira. And I really like that. And I'm an old, Magic player also, so Melissa Benson is
Hmm.
also one of my favorite artists. I think she has done some really stunning pieces. I don't think all of them are, masterworks, but I think most of them are, and I really like that. I like the Infernal Legion a lot. I think that's a really cool card. And yeah, who to put as number three? There's so many, so many. Maybe Easily could be one of my top three. I think he has done some really cool pieces, and I love the old school fantasy with the flame shooting and the wizards casting spells
Hmm.
and stuff like that. So I think that might be my number three. But
Yeah. Now
yeah,
you have to ask as well. You can't
yeah,
just put us on the
yeah.
spot.
Oh, I've never had someone reverse that question on me, so I'll have to give me a second. I gotta. Whew. Okay, so one of the reasons I got into the game was because I saw that Frank Frazetta did art for the game.
Yeah.
Well, he didn't do art, but he was, they got some of his art from his archive. So I actually bought a box of beta thinking that there would be the Frank Frazetta
Oh
stuff in because I
no.
didn't realize that it was just
Oh, the
alpha.
pain.
Yeah, so when I saw the Death Dealer and it was different, I was like,
Uh,
Oh,
oh
all
no.
right. And I was like, but I do like Brian Smith's art, and I do enjoy that Death Dealer. It's not bad. It's not a bad card. It just shocked me that it wasn't the one I thought it would be, right?
Yeah.
So, Frank Frazetta's probably up there. I have a lot of his art in the house before Sorcery, so I think he has to be the number one when it comes to that. Alan Pollock has made so many iconic cards for this game, in my
Yeah.
opinion, and so I think he's got to be up there for me. And then I think Truett Parish for his Crusade and Jihad are just phenomenal. And yeah, I know I have the step, and but I'm not keeping it. It's too expensive for me to keep. But it's just that artwork is really cool, and I like that the brush strokes and that he is very traditional in his approaches for his art is very cool. So I guess those are my three for today. That might also change, but yeah,
Yeah.
there's just so many good ones. Boss Troll, I think, is Vasily. Vasily's
Yeah.
done some
He's
amazing art for the game.
amazing.
Yeah, if I could ever get some Vasily signed cards, that would make my day. I don't know if
Yeah.
I'll ever be able to figure out how to get a hold of him, but if I can, that would be a very cool one to get some cards signed by. Yeah. Let's see here. The with the Arthurian legends coming around the corner, and obviously with Europe being a huge part of the Arthurian legends, with them traveling around and everything, uh, I'm I'm less versed in it than probably you guys are, the lore and history of it. What are some of the cards, or I guess the art that you're like, if you had like five that you were like, man, if they did this from the legends, it would be so cool to see in a sorcery style art, I guess.
You wanna? Oh, we like take turns and
Right. Oh,
mention.
so finding combination. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. I think I really want to see the Green Knight. The Green Knight
Mm.
has like a very traditional story, and is a part of like European lore, and it's been utilized in many different cultures, and is the basis of a lot of different myths. So
Hmm.
the Green Knight is really cool, and I can just I think it lends itself really nicely to like be painted. There is so much that you can include on a piece of art for the Green Knight that would be amazing. And I think like thematically he would be fit really well into the set. So that's definitely one that I could see being in the set, and I think he might be. I hope.
Doesn't he throw down the gauntlet or something, or at one point, or he like makes a quest happen, right? That was his.
Yeah, he has like a quest, but it is a knight that meets him. Sir Gawain
Hmm.
meets him on, I think is it like New Year's Eve, or it's like a
Yeah,
specific.
some sort of transitional date.
Yeah,
Gotcha.
precisely. And then they make like a bet that he can do whatever, so Gawain can do whatever he wants to the Green Knight. So he offers him his axe, and he chops off the Green Knight's head. But instead of dying, because he is like a specter or something, he just picks up his head and say, "See you in a year, man." And then it is his turn to try and behead Sir Gawain.
That would be a cool visual, is to see him with the head, like holding it
Yeah,
as
yeah,
his
exactly,
card. That would be really cool.
definitely.
Yeah, exactly. And that would be my card that I want to see. I want to see Sir Gawain. I don't know that much about him, but as a kid, I always read Prince Valiant, the cartoons, and you had the Prince Valiant. Of course, he's not part of the myth, and you had Sir Gawain. There was this good friend of the prince, and having this sort of more chaotic knight, because he's a good guy, down deep down inside and in his heart, he's a good guy, but he's not that pious of a knight, and I like to have that, a bit morally questionable knight
More
at the
personal
round
line.
at the round table,
Hmm.
some sort of chaotic good character, and I would like to see him as a card. And I hope he might actually be a combination card between Earth and Fire. That could be really cool, but
Mm.
we'll see.
Um, Okay, sight. I would love to see Avalon. Avalon is like the mysterious place that
Mm.
exists in the mists, and it's sort of later on in some of the folklore that started was supposed to be, I think, at like Glastonbury Church, and it sort of like zooms in and out of existence, and it's like this magical place that King Arthur goes when he's about to die. I think that would be like a really flavorful thematic thing, and maybe even something where you can I don't know, sacrifice a minion or something like that. I see a lot of potentially cool interaction.
Hmm.
Hmm.
And we know that they're doing the Arthurian legends, that they're taking a lot of folklore around the myth and combining that into the set. So I would really like to see the Wild Hunt.
Yeah, for
Having
sure.
some sort of other card that you can play that enters the battlefield and just fucks stuff up. Can I say? Yeah, but but having a card come down and do some major havoc on the battlefield, just like Rolling Boulder or something. I think that could be really cool for a card. And having the Wild Hunt do that, I thought that could be really flavorful and really cool.
Yeah, especially because they are like this collection of dead knights roaming and like taking random children as sacrifice. So you
Yeah,
could like
Hmm.
maybe roll a die and then they go to different places, different sites of the board. I
just
think,
kills everything.
yeah, that would be pretty fun.
Yeah, like a headless
Yeah,
haunt.
yeah,
Yeah.
For the last one, I think maybe the Holy Grail. I think there's like this is like a lot of like the stuff that everything centers around, and we have seen that Tony Sutlo has done an art piece called the Holy Grail.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, if it doesn't show up here, or at least show up as a curio, that would be a missed opportunity.
Mm-hmm.
So, do you have something that you would like to see in AL?
So I have, so I'm a huge fan of the mortals that are in in like the interactions of mortals in sorcery, and being able to have more of that interaction, like where you could actually, kind of going back to like a magic term, a tribal deck that is
Mm.
mortal themed, would be very cool. It doesn't. I would like it to be a little better than what it is now, so that I could play it and not feel bad that I get wrecked every single time. But I think that the mortals are in this game, and I think with Arthurian legends being so mortal themed with knights and Camelot and all that stuff, I think seeing something like that would be kind of cool. Where I actually made a card for the contest that was
Yeah.
basically a. I think it was like you give +2 or 3 to all mortals for the turn, and it's like war cry, and it's for the turn you just slam with all your foot soldiers for like, and then it's like that's it, you're done, like, but it's like a unique that just like it would just decimate everything. But I think seeing something like that would be cool. I when I've discussed Arthurian legends as like a concept and stuff, I've definitely thought about the Holy Grail a lot, and kind of more of I've seen the art from Tony Sudlow, and I'm like, the thing that I would like to see mechanically potentially with that card is to have it as the only card in the game that can get you to like 1 health from Death's Door.
Oh.
So it makes it so the Death Door token or whatever comes off, that condition comes off of it and your avatar, and gives you 1 health. So then you could like slap down like 2 divine healings and be like, all right, let's go again, kind of thing. Like it's a reset. It's like, it has some, and because the Holy Grail is supposed to like give eternal life. You obviously you can't do that in a card game necessarily, but like something that like it would be like the only card that comes back. It gives you the ability to come back from Death's Door, have that big card hunt for it, like the Philosopher's Stone, right? It's very
Yeah.
strong, very pivotal card in the set. I think the Holy Grail could be that.
Yeah, I think that's a great idea. I like the portal to a new life, and like,
Yeah.
or maybe like giving something like this turn you can't take any damage from opponents or
Mm,
something. I think there would definitely be like some fun gameplay mechanics for
yeah.
that card. Yeah, I hope we see it.
Yeah. The other thing that I've thought about is like a combination card, which would be interesting. Is the Holy Grail is a card that is to the side of that is not technically in your deck, and it is not in your site deck, and is put onto the battlefield when you play a site that is specifically like the resting place of the Holy Grail. I don't know what the name of the card would be, but then like it would be then that you have to quest to that site to get the Holy Grail, and so
Mm,
it's available to anyone who plays it. You play it, and it would be an interesting caveat to it is if the avatar is the only person that can pick it up. So
yeah.
you can't go get or maybe you do avatar and knights for this particular reason. And so it's like only a knight and an avatar can pick up the Holy Grail. So it's not like you can just go bomb rush it with like a foot soldier or Patrician cavalry or something like that. You have to then go hunt for the Holy Grail with your avatar or your knights to achieve the goal and get that Death Store back or whatever. Would be kind of cool. That would be fun interaction, I
Definitely.
guess.
Yeah, that
Yeah.
would be
So then you
so
still
cool.
have that
I
hunt.
mean, yeah, fun of like having that sort of the myth, lining up with the card mechanic. I think that would be pretty amazing. And also like sort of a capture the flag style where
Mm-hmm.
any anyone can get it, but it does have to be a knight. but there's like a
Mm-hmm.
competition to get there first.
Mm.
I think that would be fun.
Yeah, it, one thing that I've been thinking about as well is we have shifting sands as a card, right, where you can reactivate the Genesis ability of any desert nearby. And I thought that would be interesting if there was like a barracks card or something, and then you do that where you can reactivate any village nearby it.
Ooh,
Oh,
that could be powerful.
Yeah.
yeah, that
It's,
would actually be kind of cool.
yeah, but you know you still have to pay the cost for it, so it's kind of balanced that way where like deserts
Yeah.
are just
Mm.
you do the one damage, but this it's like okay, you play this and yeah, there might be four nearby, but you don't necessarily want to use all four resources to get more foot soldiers, but it could be a very defensive card or you know, maybe you have a lot of foot soldiers already and you're just kind of making another wave happen. I'm obviously I'm a huge fan of a token deck apparently.
I like that.
uh,
I played goblins in Magic, so I'm like all
Yeah,
about the
see, you know
token
where I'm coming
generation.
from.
Yeah.
The another question I typically ask is out of it could be for any reason, you know, mechanics wise, play wise, it could be art wise, just whatever reason you want to do it. Your favorite element currently with the game with the cards we have in those element, what's your favorite element?
You want to go first?
I need to think a bit. What about
Okay,
you?
then I can just
You can go
I
on,
can
yeah.
go. Um, my favorite element is fire. It might not be
Mm,
the best, but I love to have a lot of removal spells, and I love to see stuff burn.
yes.
And I love that you have,
Mm,
you know, this increment into power, that you have the small burn spells, and then you have the minor explosions and the major explosions and the meteor shower and the flame waves. So I really just love fire, and I
Hmm.
think the first deck I actually built was you know, all fire, just burn stuff, and a lot of fire creatures, and having some fire spellcasters. I
Nice.
also like that with fire you can cast spells from for instance the River of Flame, or you can use the Lava Salamander as a flame fire caster,
Mm,
and also having the Phoenixes, you know, just stand there in the fire without dying. So
yeah.
yeah, fire. That's my go-to element.
There we go.
I think for me, it's a bit of a toss up between Earth and Fire. I think Earth has some really nice ramp opportunities, and I think Fire is like I always play sort of a burn aggro sort of vibe in a lot of other decks, and I would love to see Fire delve even more into that. I would love it to be even more aggressive. And I would love to see them maybe do being able to also do some sort of like I mean, that's something that's going to be take a while, but something like a tribal deck also. I would love to see some more creatures that you can sort of link up and gain some advantages of having more of a specific kind of creature. Yeah, so I think a mix between earth and fire right now at the moment for me.
Gotcha. Yeah, I'm a huge Earth guy, but
Yeah,
I'm also I fire is a close second for me.
yeah,
I just finished building a flame color deck, and I'm gonna try it out because one of my friends was like having to struggle play like figuring out how to play it. He's like, oh, maybe I need to add air or fire. Like, what am I supposed to do here to make like a good flame color deck? And I was like, you go full fire, and these are the cards you use. He's like, I don't know about that. Maybe. And I was like, all right, you know what? I'm gonna build it. I'm bringing it next Thursday. So, I've been playing with. I played a little bit with Rudisaurus today with it, and it seemed like it was doing pretty good. So, yeah,
cool.
it's been fun. Also, he told me to say hi to you, so
Oh,
there's
Oh,
that.
definitely. It
thank
was.
you.
We had a lot of fun texting back and forth with Rude and Joss from Sorcery Gamblers Club while they
Hmm.
were at Baltimore. They did
Yeah,
a very evil taunting with a piece of pizza, and we're like, "We're getting food now, guys." But I mean,
uh,
that's kind of cool. You know, everybody sort of knows each other. So,
yeah,
like all the content creators as well. It's
yeah,
a nice part of being a part of the community.
yeah. I told him I was like, you gotta come to Vegas, dude. He's it's like I was like, it's gonna be my premier event of showing up to a bigger event for
Oh,
sorcery. I'm excited to actually go and meet everyone that I've you know chatted with as many as I can. I want to
mm,
Yeah,
go and see. So yeah, it's gonna be a ton of fun. I'm a it's gonna be hard for you guys, but are you guys going or no?
No, I'm going to
Nope.
Unfortunately.
Spiel for
Oh yeah.
the unveiling of Ethereum Legends, and then I pretty much used up all my travels for this year
There you
because
go.
I also did the Ask and Rest tournament in
Right.
Germany last month. So I think we're pretty stacked on travel.
Gotcha. All right. Well, we'll have to maybe the castle one. Maybe I'll
The
be
castle one,
showing up at the
definitely.
castle
Yeah.
one. Yeah. With actually, I'm gonna use one of your guys' questions that you usually ask people
Oh.
is, what's a with Arthurian Legends coming out? What's the next set you want to see? It could be theme wise. It could be something. Because I know you guys asked this question, but I don't know if I've ever heard your guys' answers.
Hmm.
Lots of good stuff.
Yeah.
We did a video quite a while back where we sort of deciphered the different themes in the beta edition, and there were a lot of different themes. We had the pirates, we had some sort of Eastern culture, we
Mm-hmm.
had medieval law, of course. So I would love to see some more medieval law, but I think we're going to get that with the Ethereal Legends. So maybe going a little further back to the Iron Age, maybe some Vikings or some Norse mythology. That could be really cool. Um, and if not, then I would like to see even more fantasy theme. Give us even more dragons, give us beholders, give us goblins and
Yeah.
elves and more
Yeah.
dwarfs and giants and
Yeah.
stuff like that.
All the good stuff.
All the good stuff.
Um, yeah, I really, and we also did a video on this because I'm super psyched for it. I really hope they do it at some point. I really want to see a Greco-Roman set. There's so much already in alpha and beta that sort of like leads back to Greco-Roman culture,
Mm-hmm.
but you could definitely flesh it out. We have the Imperial Road, that's sort of like that Roman road and trade network.
Right.
We have Medusa, which is part of the mythology of the Greco-Roman world, but there's like so much more to explore, and I would really love to see an entire set, maybe also like incorporating some of the Egyptian influences, Mesopotamian influences. There could be like a whole sort of like focusing on the Mediterranean and all the cultures connected by the Mediterranean. I would love to see that set.
Yeah.
Yeah, especially because we saw that with Magic when they did
Mm,
the Theros in 2013 or something like that,
Mm-hmm.
and also the what was that set? The Egyptian themed
a monk kid.
Amonkhet, yeah.
Yeah.
And I really like those set. So yeah,
Yeah, and I think they
hopefully.
can do it better because what I really, really love
Mm,
about sorcery is the fact that when they're doing a set, just like we're seeing for Ethereum Legends right now, they're doing all the stuff that we want. We want the knights, we want the Holy Grail, we want to see
Camelot.
Camelot, we want to see all that stuff. But they're also choosing like Koinixie, Keening
Mm-hmm.
Banshee, like stuff that's more peripheral to the theme, but still very on point and on the Welsh Celtic theme, and I would love to see them do something similar for like Greco-Roman world.
Mm.
What about
I
you? You
I
don't get to. That's it's our question. We get to ask it back.
there we go. I hmm. I think I grew up a lot with like a lot of uh like the Percy Jackson books, if you know those
Mm.
books and stuff.
Yeah.
So I'm a huge fan of like the Greek and Roman culture, of those of gods and demigods and all that stuff. I putting that with Egyptian in one set, that would be a very big set, I think. But
Mm.
I think one thing that I'm been a huge fan of for a long time is like the Norse mythology as well, being able
Mm.
to have Thor and Odin and Loki as like cards would be, or something
Mm.
with like the Odin's eye or something like that would be really cool. Like Odin's eye, and you get to look at your opponent's hand or like two or three cards
Oh
every
yeah,
turn
for
or something would
sure.
be ridiculous.
Yeah.
Use it
Mm.
as an artifact, and it would be like crazy. Um, let's yeah, I think I would probably land on like a Norse or a Norse theme set. I think with like all the lightning stuff in air. It'd be really cool to have like a Thor card or something like that. Would be really cool. Yeah, I think that would be really cool.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
there's like a lot of like old like folk myth
Mm-hmm.
here in the Nordic countries that you can
Yeah.
pull on, because there's like so much that's not like part of the core Norse mythology but are like
Right.
later folk myths. But I think it would be nice to sort of like flesh out a bigger set.
That or maybe a Japan themed, like ancient Japan or ancient China and Japan themed would be cool with like samurais and stuff would be interesting. I wouldn't be surprised if they kind of go around the world and do like all ancient history stuff and then they do
Yeah.
something else after that. Would be kind of cool. Yeah, I've heard about the like the dark theme stuff would be really cool. Like just a dark
Mm.
set like Grimm fairy tale kind of style or something like that would be kind of cool. But yeah, I think I'm gonna go with Norse though for right now.
I think that's a good one.
Yeah. Let's. I usually end on this one, so we'll end here on this question. Your favorite avatar, site, artifact, minion, magic.
That's a lot to remember.
Let's start with avatar. We'll just start with avatar for right now. Favorite avatar could be art, gameplay style, it could be anything.
Oh,
Mm.
I
I
know I'm
kind
asking
of
hard questions here,
Yeah,
so
yeah.
I think I kind of lean toward Battle Mage because it
mhm.
has like that aggro, aggressive gameplay. I'm really hopeless at playing it. Definitely something I need to practice. But I think it's a lot of fun to play.
Yeah. I think when it comes to the art, and only the art, I love the Flamecaller. I think that art is just perfect. But from a game perspective, I think my favorite avatar is the Enchantress. I saw one of these big tournaments. I think it was March of the Mortals, where
Mhm.
I'm so bad at names.
Salem?
Yeah,
Salem.
Salem, yeah.
Salem won the tournament, and I went and looked at his page on Curiosa, and he had the tournament winning deck, and he also had a more budget air water deck for the Enchantress, and I tried to build that. I'm still missing one key card, but you can
Mhm.
definitely build it as a more budget-friendly deck, and it plays really well and it's really fun. It's a lot of stuff is going on all the time, and you're constantly, planning ahead and throwing spells and doing fun stuff, and it's really hard to deal with for your opponent. So yeah, the Enchantress might be my
Gotcha.
favorite avatar.
Okay. I've been playing with Flamecaller recently. He's doing all right so far, so we'll
Mm.
see. um, I love his little blurb or whatever the wording. He's like the rise from the ashes to rule or whatever. I was like, that sounds pretty cool. Go. Let's go with Minion next. Favorite Minion. I think it's probably Amazon Warriors for you, but might be wrong.
Oh yeah, I love that card. And the artist's perfection.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
Somebody also sent it to me in foil, and I love it. I love it because you can see the mosaic on the floor.
Hmm.
The floor is really, detailed and such a masterpiece. And it's great, if you pull an Amazon Warrior in sealed, it's a direct include in any deck because it's
Yeah.
such a powerful card. Yeah, okay, I'll go with that. Amazon Warriors, plain vanilla, big stuff.
Mm, I think for the art, maybe Busk Troll. I really
Oh,
do enjoy
love Boss
Vasily's
Troll.
art. I think he has a lot of like really powerful pieces, and like many of my other favorites, he has like an iconic style that is so clearly his, so you can just immediately recognize his art. Yeah, for the art, Busk Troll.
Nice. I didn't realize there was like a little person or something like in the
Yeah,
woods until I saw the art prints, which I was like, man, that'd be cool to get one of those. But I think they were sold out by the time I saw the post or something. So,
Oh,
oh, bummer.
yeah,
but it
bummer.
was it was cool. I didn't know that little kid or whatever was in the fog or whatever the boss trolls
Yeah.
around. So yeah, I love Boss Troll. It's a great card. let's go to magic. Favorite magic. It must be fire. You split. You said there was a ton of fire you liked.
Yeah. But grapple shot is
Grapple
just
shot's good. Grapple shot's
so
good.
bloody powerful and so iconic and
Yeah.
such a finisher. I think it's grapple shot, and then coming really close second is mine explosion.
Yeah, yeah. I
Yeah.
love minor explosions art. The skull, the skeleton, and all that stuff is so good.
Yeah, I'll have to say minor explosion. I'm just going straight there. I think the art, Matthias really outdid himself there. It's
Oh yeah.
super cool. I think the use of the orange, like really vibrant color, and you almost like feel the heat coming off the card. Yeah, I love it.
Yeah. Let's see here. We did that one. Let's go artifact. Favorite artifact.
Mm, again, so many great ones.
Yeah.
Um, maybe the Taurus hammer. Like I think I really like what the card does as a mechanic. I think the art is super nice and it has like sort of those Norse mythology roots to it. So I
Yeah.
think it's that one for me.
Is that Dan Seagrave? I think that's Dan Seagrave. They did that one.
Oh,
Might
I can't
be.
remember right now, but I think you might be right. It does have the typical like Dan Seagrave colors being like teal
Yeah.
and bluish green.
Let's see here.
He's
See
cheating.
if I'm-
Ah,
Yep, it is. It is Dan Seagrave.
yeah, and Dan Seagrave, he also just like in general has amazing art. But I like the Taurus hammer. I think it's really cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was about to say that.
Got it.
Okay, then I just take the course because
Of course.
Easy one.
yeah, it's easy. It's they are iconic. They are recognizable. If you draw them, you're a happy little camper. And they're great in the gameplay. And almost any deck benefits from running a core, and they're just so powerful. So yeah,
Oh, and
The
Philosopher's Stone.
yeah, but yeah,
That's I mean the
I
art
like the
on
cores better.
yeah, but the art on Philosopher's Stone is I mean unparalleled. It's amazing.
Yeah.
I like the cores better.
And then finally, let's do sight.
River Flame,
I felt that
Oh,
one. I
man.
felt that one.
yeah. River Flame,
River Flame.
River Flame.
BT2.
Ian Miller, right? Ian
Yeah.
Miller
Yeah.
for River Flame. Yep.
I think I'm going to have to go. Oh, there's so many great ones because like Donnybrook Inn is such a cool
Yeah.
card mechanically. But I think like because of my love of the Greco-Roman world, I think Imperial Road is like it has to be that one. I think it's really a beautiful card.
Nice. That's awesome. Yeah. Let's see here. Yeah, I think. Is there anything else you'd like to say or talk about before we wrap this up, or are you guys all good?
Like maybe just thank you for inviting us.
Yeah.
It's really cool. We really do
Yeah.
love to like connect with people, and that's also really something that's been fun with this game. Really having a lot of opportunities to meet new people all over the world, and hopefully we'll get to meet up in a castle and play some Sorcerer at some
Yeah.
point.
Yeah,
Indeed.
I really like being able to interview people because like yeah, we can like chat online and stuff, but being able to, just sit here and, talk for an hour makes you really get to know the person versus it just being like text back and forth, back and forth, back and forth.
Yeah,
But
for sure.
yeah, thank you again for coming on, and I'll have to get come to a castle near you sometime.
Yeah, for sure.
Definitely, and
All
thank you
right.
for having us.
Yeah, thank you.